You are listening to No PC Allowed, aka No Political Correctness Allowed, and I am Mac Iverson. The following words are from a 16-year-old HomeNet participant. I really want to move to Antarctica. I'd want my cat and internet access, and I'd be happy. From an article entitled The Internet, How Words Can Unite or Divide Us by Sophie Caldecott. She writes, Vivek Murthy points out, modern progress has brought unprecedented advances that make it easier for us technically to connect, but often these advances create unforeseen challenges that make us feel more alone and disconnected. He writes, thanks to advances in technology, we can enjoy all the conveniences of community without directly interacting with other people. Vivek Murthy points out that the constant presence of our phones and other communication technology has been shown to reduce the emotional quality of our conversations. As Andrew Przybylski and Netta Weinstein found in their experiments, the mere sight of phones during conversation negatively impacted the extent to which individuals felt empathy and understanding from their partners. Unquote. During the halftime of the 1984 Super Bowl, there was an Apple commercial introducing their new computer, which showed a movie theater full of zombie-like viewers in front of a giant screen of Big Brother telling them what is right and what is wrong. Suddenly, from the back of the theater, a disruptor, looking suspiciously like a cleaned-up Minnesota Muslim apologist terrorist, comes running toward the screen and tosses a commie hammer, just like one ripped off the old Soviet flag. She circles round and then shot-puts it at the screen, shattering it, and then everyone starts to wake up from their Big Brother-induced stupor. I never saw this commercial, but when I heard of it, I was instantly highly skeptical because, first of all, why did Apple feel the need to sell their personal computers so hard in this way? Were Americans screaming over all the injustice in the world because we were being controlled by Big Brother? There was some intellectual discussion of it because we were in the year 1984, which was also the name of George Orwell's famous novel, but the worry of Big Brother controlling us was not a major popular concern. It reminds me of Shakespeare's quote concerning Apple's rogue female. The lady doth protest too much, methinks. So Apple was charging out of the gate, acting paranoid, without being accused of doing anything nefarious. It just reminds me of what used to be Google's motto, which was, don't do evil. Don't do evil. Which is really funny if you think about it, when the main goal of Google and other companies like them is simply to gather data about you and me. Big tech fosters essentially two things: immediate communication through the internet and data accumulation. But Apple, correctly though subconsciously, tied the temptation of doing evil to the data collection business. Now, why in the world would they ever even consider making that connection? Could it be that's because there's a deep history of tyrants like the Nazis being absolutely meticulous in the gathering of information against their enemies, like Jews or anyone who could have stood in their way of global conquest? They found the gathering of blackmail material to be extremely helpful when it came to jailing their political opponents for minor violations of trivial indiscretions. In other words, big tech was tempted to do the very evil that they so emphatically claimed they hated from day one with that revelatory commercial. It's like the kid and the cookie jar, telling him to stay out of the cookie jar when the only thing that the kid can hear is cookie jar. So he becomes obsessed with cookies. Likewise, Google pompously asserted, don't do evil, as their actual motto, when the only message they could really glean from that was, do evil. So guess what? As a matter of course, they found it very easy to do evil. Humorously, they ended up giving up on that very dishonest phrase because by the year 2015, they gave up on pretending to resist evil, and so they gradually substituted that eyebrow-raising silly phrase with an even more bone-chilling phrase of, know what you want before you do. Which hints strongly at ad manipulation. This, of course, happened over the past decade. This is why once you become a woke zombie, it's almost impossible for you to free yourself. Such is the nature of brainwashing. Everyone, it seems these days, screams about the horrors of segregation and Jim Crow. Oh dear. They bring it up long after anything has ever been associated with Jim Crow laws or separate but equal. But separate but equal is an idea that would keep the Muslim population separated from the rest of the Western world. And that is a marvelous idea. Unfortunately, it's far too late, especially for Europe. If being separate but equal prevents you from choking the living crap out of the people that you hate so much, maybe separate but equal is not such a bad idea after all. Again, let's look at Europe today. It's a hodgepodge of bitter, hateful enemies that is pitting the threadbare remnants of Western civilization against the dark, seedy underbelly of the Muslim underworld. So separate but equal is seeming very smart more and more these days, if it can actually prevent the Muslim nuts from corrupting the civilized world. I mean, honestly, do you want a Muslim family living next door to you? If you answer yes, you're either, number one, a liar, or number two, a Muslim, or number three, an idiot. There is a fourth possibility, that you are naive to an evil degree. Don't believe for 1 nanosecond that naivete isn't evil. It absolutely is. Ignorance is evil. And in a free society, where you have the freedom to choose, and you have the world's information at your very fingertips, there is zero excuse for being ignorant. And still, this is what most Democrats are today. They are first and foremost unethical, and second, they are lazy. Trump says Muslims who want to massacre infidels like me, and I assume you, are trash and don't belong here in America. And I say amen to that. This dividing line is a chasm of profoundly deep division. The Muslims are like a slashing sword of division away from Western civilization, and they are largely supported by the world's two biggest enablers of that division, China and the Soros crime family. These two are more responsible for this global division than anyone else, because their mutual goal is to destroy the West. So the segregating of an evil cult like Islam from the rest of sane America is a very good segregation. But there is one area where segregation is very, very bad. That being the segregation, the intentional, pre-planned segregation of left versus right. For example, if you go to look at a video on the internet, say YouTube, then another closely related video that you might like pops up for you to view. Because they are in the data gathering business, they are snooping on your privacy in order to sell you more stuff. So greed for money or clicks leads to division, and here's how. That second video leads to a third video, and a fourth video, and a fifth video, and so on, creating an endless vicious circle of indoctrination, all related to each other within the same boundaries, which ends up defining you as a hardcore corporate creation, a manufactured target for them to advertise to you for the rest of your life. A clearly designed and therefore reliable and highly profitable consumer target. It's like having dollar signs stamped all over your body. So now the data collectors, they got you. They understand you, as Google claims, better than you understand yourself. You're Google's man. You are their corporate creation. Google's claim is that the purpose of artificial intelligence within this business model is to know what you want before even you do, to know what you are going to think before even you do. So the more videos you watch, the more brainwashed you become on your own natural proclivities. That way, you never feel like you're being brainwashed. It feels like you're not really being sold at all. They convince you that their advertising is not really advertising, rather it is education, so as to trick you into being an easy mark, the easiest of all sales, so that you, the consumer, aren't even aware you are being sold a bill of goods by these very clever, soul-hooking advertisers from hell. Consider this. Today, politics is about everything in life, and I mean everything, because the deep state has made it so. For example, if you have any anti-woke opinion on any topic, then according to the deep state, you must be a racist. So everything that you watch on the internet automatically becomes political. And if you're someone of strong political convictions, even if you're right-wing, you are extremely valuable to someone who can use that passion and the power that passion generates. In the United States, we have a two-party system. You talk about division, my goodness. Today, this division is nearly perfectly evenly divided. Now, how did that happen? Why is it 50-50? It happened because both parties serve as funnels for special interests. George Washington was opposed to parties because he was smart enough to know how it would turn out. And it was so obvious how it would turn out even then. For example, if one side raises $1 million, the other side must also raise and match that $1 million, so they're even. But then the other side says, we need to ramp up our efforts and get even more money. And of course, the other side does the same thing just to match the opposing side. And it builds and builds and builds until they end up building the perfect binary bicameral beast, which has grown into the intransigent mess that we call the two-party system in America today. So you have one side standing and cheering, and the other side sitting and frowning, and they get jealous. They want to be the ones standing and cheering so that they can make the other side sitting and frowning. It's crazy, but that's what this is. That's why it's perfectly divided 50-50. You have two major parties. If you had more major parties, it would make it even worse, because no side would ever win, and the evil division would never be cured. That's obvious. It's just common sense. The ultimate goal of the deep state mafia is not for the right or even the left to fully conquer, because they believe neither is realistic, but rather the goal of the mafia is to distract us all into a perfectly evenly divided submission of feeling hopeless, wasting our energy and lives away pointing our fingers at how stupid the other side is, while the billionaire criminals are laughing all the way to the bank, thinking how perfectly naive and stupid the average American is for buying into all this shiny object left-wing versus right-wing bullshit propaganda. So of course, this near-perfect 50-50 division is our reality today. The ultimate realistic goal of the deep state is not total left-wing victory, but rather an endless tactical stalemate. Because just like in Orwell's 1984, there must be a common enemy for the masses of morons to rally against. It doesn't really matter who the enemy is as long as it detracts from the actual guilty players, those being China and George and Alex Soros and their proxies mostly, they being the puppet masters over 8.4 billion morons. Solution. We must get rid of the two-party system. It's not a cure-all, but it's a good start. We must do that, or it will be with mathematical certainty that America will not survive. And that's just for starters. America needs massive bottom-up reformation, not just top-down like Trump. It must be bottom-up, and we need that right now. Always remember, politics is downstream from culture, never upstream. Even Trump was a part of the culture long before he entered politics. So you, the common man and woman, must be the leader of this movement that will save America for generations to come. My question for you, dear listener, is what are you going to do about it? If your answer is, what can I do? I'm just one guy, then guess what? You are the problem, never the solution. AI makes things far more complex. All of this is by design, to confuse us. It amounts to humans and bots arguing, even bots arguing with bots. But we, the viewer, don't even know it, or we don't know it for sure. All this leading to extreme doubt about the direction America is moving towards. The deep state loves a confused America. And now there's also fake memes by the millions. Just a few short months ago, it seems, you could enjoy a meme and assume everything you saw that looked real actually was real. In fact, it didn't even occur to me to even question any of it. Again, that was just a few short months ago, not even a year ago. I tell myself, my eyes don't deceive me, so of course it's real. But now, half the time, or even more, I'm wondering if what I'm seeing that looks real might be totally fake. Totally fake. Now, what does this assumption do? Does it increase trust or decrease trust? Obviously, it decreases it massively. And this exponential acceleration of distrust of society in general is exactly the opposite of the direction that we all actually want to go in, and that we must be racing towards. And I do mean racing towards. How much of this insanity is by design, and how much of this was created by greed? First of all, what do I mean by greed? Am I calling the capitalist drive for insane profits greedy? Yes, I am. But is there anything wrong with this? Knowing that the greed factor has been hardwired inside all of us by God because of our rebellion against Him. Should we fight this greed or accept it? Socialists believe we should fight it with government programs, which is known as socialism. This is known as naked manipulation. But to what end? Who profits from a profoundly divided world? What did George Orwell have to say about worldwide division? In his book, 1984, he insisted that a united population is dangerous to the deep state. If people trust each other, if you trust your friends, family, and neighbors, if you really trust them, and you compare experiences and agree on reality, on basic reality, you agree on that, then Big Brother collapses. That was Orwell's message, one of his messages. So global division was absolutely necessary in order to distract the world away from the true nefarious players, or the ones most responsible for the division, those being the dividers, the Big Brothers, of course. These players aim for two results. Either, number one, apathy, or number two, anger. It could be argued by some that this very podcast, No PC Allowed, falls into the anger category. We start there, but we don't stop at anger. We're looking for solutions. By themselves, apathy and anger both serve the purpose of division. Apathy is created when users of the internet, the ones who are trying to avoid the cacophony of competing voices, always screaming at each other when they're just trying to find some peace. But they can't find any, so they just become apathetic. So apathy is number one in the recipe of division. Those who wish to back away from responsibility and into apathy could have been, in far saner times, the voices of reason, or the peacemakers of our time. But because the internet does not truly allow for open and honest discussion, this podcast, No PC Allowed, is constantly being censored, shadow banned, horrible, horrible things. So again, because there's no real true open, honest discussion, peaceful relations are also not forthcoming. And we know this because ad generation increases desires for what we as individuals want. Number two is anger. The internet takes our ordinary individual desires and turbocharges them with ad placement or opinions that we already favor. So now, whenever we cross paths with any opposing viewpoint, we have been programmed by these internet advertisers to actually hate those with different opinions and with a burning passion. So those who would have been reasonable peacemakers are now forced into exile simply because there is no place at the table for the peacemaker. The reasonable ones, the moderate ones. After all, where's the mega profits for the big tech companies for peace and equanimity? Peace pays big tech no big dividends, so why not just carry on with the global division? Sure, everybody's miserable, but hey, it made technology extremely big and extremely rich, so screw it. That's life. That is literally how they view it, if they're honest. Most of them aren't that honest. Instead, they say things like, well, if you don't like it, you can just tune it out and do your own thing. Well, that's exactly what we've been doing now for decades, and all that inaction has simply pushed the entire world onto the precipice of global collapse and into never-ending division. The ultimate goal of big tech is to achieve what is known as the dead internet theory, which claims that the end goal of AI is to remove all human input from all online influence discourse. It's still mostly theory now, but it is being fully pushed to be our new reality, with that reality growing with exponential speed. AI bots are now used to sway consumers towards businesses and creating market trends out of nothing. Well then, why not use them to divide and conquer as well? Which is also the oldest military strategy in the book. Read The Art of War and read Machiavelli's The Prince. Manufactured perceptions, especially amongst the stupidly unaware, is reality. Objective reality ends up meaning less and less as AI bots acquire more and more of a presence absolutely everywhere. What does this trend mean? Objectivity means truth. Less objectivity means less truth. Less truth across the entire spectrum of our shared human experience. Less truth also means more misery, because we no longer can recognize the lies that will defeat us. We become easily confused. Is this video real or fake? Is this opinion from a human being living in the real world with passions and worries, fears, hopes, and dreams just like me? Or is it from a bot trying to get my money and steal my freedoms and steal my very sense of self-determination in the process? This uncertainty leads to extreme paranoia and the feeling that nothing is really real. But without radical triage, this will be our sad psychic reality of endless existential torment and gnashing of teeth. Human greed and laziness brought us here. Greed for insane profits and laziness that says don't rock the boat, don't make waves, just be happy with the little that you got. In the meantime, we are drowning in a sea of self-induced illusion and confusion. We know this dystopian trend will continue because no one is even speaking of placing guardrails on this high-speed race to a kind of human extinction. This is our unconscious death wish, not even a subconscious death wish, because it already seems totally dead to me. This absolutely astounds me. Why are so few speaking out against this very real trend towards greater and greater never-ending division? Again, what is the end game of all this insane division? Well, obviously, if it never ends, then the nightmare becomes the process or the journey, not the destination. Because there is no destination. Permanent dislocation means the world is immobilized permanently. Now, what in the world do I mean by this? You may say, well, the world isn't immobilized. The economy and people are constantly on the move, just like since the beginning of creation. Psychological warfare is mainly directed at debasing the morals of the capitalist world. That's why libtards love porn so much, and drugs and welfare and open borders and Muslims scamming taxpayers out of billions of dollars like the losers in Minnesota. Libtards adore the victim mentality because being let off the hook of any personal responsibility pleasures their massive egos greatly, but it rots the foundation of any society. From the Holy Bible, the Apostle Paul said, "If you do not work, you do not eat." That's one of the main reasons why the libtards detest Christianity so much. It's because the entire Bible-based Christian religion is anti-woke in the extreme. Woke has proven itself to be nothing more than a type of psychological warfare that aims to undermine any and all resistance to communism and to Satan. Action step. Start talking about Soros and China like it's inflation, or it's the Super Bowl, or it's the weather, or toe fungus, or the Kardashian broads, or whatever excites you the most. Attach that level of personal importance to them. Soros and China. They are the most to blame for the world's problems today. Until the masses start talking the way I am right now, America and the West will never recover. Mark my words. You've been listening to No PC Allowed. I am Mac Iverson.